Right now at noon, students at Columbian elementary schools are putting their creativity to the test to spread a little kindness.
And it is warm, it is windy out there, and more thunderstorms beginning to develop across southeastern Kansas. We'll have a look at that forecast coming up.
What's missing from the 2024 presidential election? Enthusiasm. I'm Natalie Brand with how independent voters say they're feeling about their choices and how it could impact their vote.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Anthony Saviello. We're going to go straight over to Chris Warner for a look at the weather.
Yeah, we're continuing to track showers and thunderstorms out there across parts of southeastern Kansas. So as we mentioned, excuse me, the cap has been the biggest inhibition for any thunderstorm development whatsoever across the area. However, it has weakened just a bit across parts of southeastern Kansas, stretching back into northeastern Oklahoma. And it's just enough that we are seeing thunderstorm development taking place. So we've got these strong thunderstorms now that are just to the northeast of Chanute, north of Erie, east of Iola, getting ready to roll into Mound City. All of these thunderstorms have developed within the last hour or so across the area. They are not severe at this point, but we are watching this particular storm closely. It may reach severe limits before too much longer. All of this, the storms we had this morning, plus the additional storms that we're having develop, and we still have that possibility of a few additional showers or storms developing a little further south this afternoon, so we'll keep an eye on that. And then we had that tornado warning with that one confirmed tornado near Eureka that did do some damage out there, so that's something else going on. Take a look at these temperatures, though. Upper 70s and even into the 80-degree range right now across the area, so very warm. We've got wind advisories out there now into Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri, and red flag warnings. We'll go over these in detail in just a moment. As we go through the rest of the evening, once this line of storms rolls out of here, we're going to clear out, and winds will eventually calm down. We'll start falling back through the 60s after midnight tonight. And again, we'll have a full look at your forecast, go into detail on what we're looking at, what we're expecting here in just a few more minutes. Anthony?
Chris, students at Columbian Elementary School in Carthage are creating coffee sleeves to spread a little kindness throughout the community. The sleeves will be designed and completed during their art time this week. The sleeves will then be delivered to Scooter's Coffee in Carthage, and from there will be distributed to patrons. The school says that through doing this, these sleeves could end up making their way across the nation.
Scooters here in Carthage doesn't really have coffee collars, which is what we've done before. So we made stickers with Columbian Elementary on them, and we just wanted to make sure that we are putting our name out there in the community and encouraging our community to support the schools.
All right, great job, kids. The Knoll, Missouri Marshal's Office have arrested a man wanted for felony warrants in a Newton County. Authorities say armed with a semi-automatic handgun. Yesterday, he ran from police chasing him in the area of Bel Air Apartments in Joplin. He was previously seen on a security camera stealing a vehicle, which has since been recovered. Jennings was apprehended earlier this morning. Authorities arrest 4 people in connection with the disappearance of 2 Kansas women who went missing last month while traveling through rural Oklahoma to pick up children. Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly were last seen on March 30th. Their bodies were found this weekend in Texas County, Oklahoma. The 4 suspects have all been charged with murder. An audit into Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders' office has uncovered potential non-compliance with state law. The governor's office bought a nearly $20,000 lectern. According to the audit, improper records of the purchase were kept. The report found the lectern was paid for before it was delivered, and the office shredded the bill of lading. The audit says Sanders' office needs to ensure all original documentation relating to the purchasing of delivering goods is saved. Jury selection of former President Donald Trump's historic criminal trial in New York is continuing for a second day today. The first batch of jurors were sworn in on Monday after pre-trial arguments over evidence and rules for the proceedings. Roughly 2/3 of the group of 96 New Yorkers were quickly dismissed, most of them saying they wouldn't be able to be fair and impartial in the trial. Prosecutors and defense attorneys may also briefly argue Tuesday over what topics prosecutors can question Trump about if he chooses to testify.
Every legal pundit, every legal scholar said this trial is a disgrace. We have a Trump-hating judge. We have a judge who shouldn't be on this case. He's totally conflicted. But this is a trial that should never happen. It should have been thrown out a long time ago.
Juror selection is expected to continue for the rest of this week. As the 2024 election inches closer, polls show a significant chunk of voters are unenthusiastic about rematch between President Biden and former President Donald Trump. But will that keep them home when Election Day rolls around? With less than 6 months to go, Natalie Brand checks in with independent voters who could help decide the election.
Inside this Northern Virginia coffee shop of blended views, almost everyone we spoke to had the same feeling about the impending presidential election.
I'm not super excited about it.
Ben Matthew, who describes himself as independent, says this year could come down to voting against a candidate instead of in support of one.
You're not running towards something, you're kind of running away from something in some ways.
Diane Lester says in 2020 she couldn't bring herself to vote and doesn't know what she'll do this year.
It just feels really daunting and really difficult.
It's a sentiment reflected in CBS News polling. At the same time, CBS News Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto, says most voters still view 2024 as important.
I think it's going to be an interesting but important question to see how each campaign does at motivating their supporters to turn out, because there may be very few persuadable people.
Rebecca Leakway says she's committed to voting.
Personally don't love the candidates, but I know who I'm going to vote for.
But she worries a contentious election cycle will turn off younger voters.
I hope that they realize that it's important either way, and sometimes the choice is not a great choice, but you still live in a country where you have the power to make that choice, and you should take advantage of that.
Voters who spoke with us also have a message for the political parties.
Both sides need to have more empathy and understanding for the other side and be willing to compromise. Otherwise, we don't move forward.
We need to make sure that we have a leader in office that's going to represent all the people.
Hoping a future with a little less polarization could restore some enthusiasm for the next presidential election cycle. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Loudoun County, Virginia.
Coming up, tensions rising in the Middle East.
Efforts to de-escalate. I'm Jared Hill with a growing international pressure to ease tensions after Iran's weekend attack on Israel.
And later, we're making cheese straws in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. The space agency says this metal object was part of a space station cargo pallet jettisoned on March 11, 2021. Almost exactly 3 years later, on March 8th of this year, the small piece survived the atmosphere and tore through a Naples, Florida home. The cylinder is 4 inches tall and weighs about 1.5 pounds. It was used to mount batteries on the cargo pallet. On this day in history, April 16th, 1972, the Apollo 16 blasted off from Cape Kennedy, Florida. Astronauts John Young and Charles Duke spent a record-breaking 71 hours on the moon. The astronauts spent 20 minutes outside of their spacecraft, during which time they walked, they took pictures, and they drove an electric car around the terrain. Apollo 16's mission ended April 27th with the crew and craft and cargo splashing down safely in the Pacific. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Today, I can't wait to introduce you to one of my all-time favorites. And I have a pretty good idea that you're going to fall in love as soon as you taste them too.
And we're keeping an eye on thunderstorm chances across the area through this afternoon, and then we'll begin to clear out. We'll have all the latest when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. So we had a round of strong to severe thunderstorms this morning, even a confirmed tornado in Greenwood County near Eureka. And now we're seeing additional thunderstorm development take place along the dry line, which is quite evident right there on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. So let me show you what we're talking about, what we're looking at here. We're starting with the dry line, which is right about here. We're seeing the cumulus development. We're seeing the thunderstorm development heading into southeastern Kansas, and we are watching the potential for additional development along this line. Now, the cap has weakened, but it's not completely gone, and so we may not see additional development outside of what we're seeing right now, but we are keeping an eye on it. We do have this thunderstorm here just to the east of Moran, rolling into Bourbon County right now, and then rolling into Lynn County. We have another storm just outside of Mound City. Both of these are strong, but not quite severe at this point. But we're continuing to keep a close eye on these two cells as they continue to race off to the northeast. In fact, we can even go back just the last hour, and you can see how quickly they developed and how fast they're moving in just an hour's time. There's not much to it, but got a little shower over here just to the west of Columbus that's kind of gotten going within the last 20 minutes or so. But if we were to back this up just a couple more hours, you'll see that these storms started out as just little showers as well and became decent-looking thunderstorms. Again, they're not severe, but they did amplify quickly, so we'll keep an eye on everything as it rolls through the area heading through the afternoon. We'll be here in the Skywatch Weather Center just in case. Now, off to our north, that purple box, that is a tornado watch just outside of our area around the Kansas City area where they've dealt with some severe weather from the activity that rolled through parts of southeast Kansas earlier this morning. So again, we're going to keep a close eye on all of this as we continue through the morning. Now, our severe risk is still there, but as you can see, it has been shifted even further to the east at this point. So that's not to say that these storms that are developing couldn't become severe, but the better opportunities for more organized severe weather beginning to shift off to our east. But we still do have, for some of us, a low to elevated tornado risk, a low to elevated hail risk, and a low wind risk, and that could be associated with these storms as they intensify and move off to the east, or it could be completely new development that takes place. So we're going to keep an eye again on all of it. We have red flag warnings. Winds in Joplin at the 11 o'clock report were gusting upwards of 51 miles an hour. No thunderstorms, no severe weather with that. That's just how intensely these southerly winds are gusting. These red flag warnings run until 8 o'clock tonight, and so absolutely no outdoor burning. And to be honest with you, if you're under the wind advisory, or if it's windy period right now, the air back behind that dry line, that's why they call it a dry line, the humidity levels back behind that are in the 15 to 25% range. We're talking extremely dry air back here. With these wind advisories, with those winds gusting again upwards of 50 miles an hour outside of any thunderstorms, it could lead to wildfire expansion. It could lead to a fire growing out of control very quickly. So no outdoor burning across the area today. And those wind advisories will continue until 7 this evening. Take a look at these temperatures, though. We have warmed up. We're already upper 70s across most of southeastern Kansas, mid 70s across parts of Missouri. Now, out ahead, where some of that cloud cover hasn't really thinned out, Monette, Cassville, Bentonville, sitting at 70 degrees right now. You've been stuck under those clouds. The rest of us have seen clearing. And again, that's why the cap has weakened a bit. That's why we're keeping an eye on these thunderstorms as they continue to develop across the area. So again, for most of us, we're still looking at highs, upper 70s, low 80s out there, and those winds gusting 40, potentially 50 miles an hour. We head into this evening, still gusty, but not as intense. Gusts up to 35 out of the southwest, so it's not a significant improvement, but at least it's not 50 miles an hour. And we're looking at lows back into the upper 50s and into the low 60s. Now, tomorrow is going to be fantastic. We're looking at highs. It's going to be well above average, but winds not too bad. West 10 to 15, highs right around 80 degrees. As we head into the end of this week, we're watching additional thunderstorm chances. So we go into Thursday, we're talking low 80s, upper 70s. It's going to be windy again, and we could see additional thunderstorms. We have another cold front coming through. This one's going to pack a little more of a punch, at least in terms of our temperatures, and it could bring us some strong, possibly severe thunderstorms as we head into Thursday, so we'll keep an eye on that. But it will knock our temperatures down. Take a look. We head into the weekend. We have temperatures potentially even falling below normal on Saturday with a few more scattered showers out there. We'll start to warm back up as we head into next week, and then we'll see additional shower and potentially thunderstorm chances as we head into next week as well. But again, we'll keep an eye on these thunderstorms this afternoon. We'll stick around, see what's going on, and of course, if there's any warnings or watches out there, we will let you know. But outside of this, it's going to be pretty good out there starting tomorrow and later this afternoon even.
All right. Thanks for keeping us updated, Chris. Appreciate it. The Great American Flag Swap is taking place right now at Arvest Bank in Miami. Here is a live look at it. If you have an old and tattered flag, bring it down to Arvest Bank in Miami and swap it for a brand new one. Old flags will see a proper disposal. Stick around. We're making cheese straws in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. And now, here's Mr. Food.
Today, I'd like to introduce you to the cheese straw. Now, for those of you who have grown up in the South, these need no introduction. After all, cheese straws are like deviled eggs. Every Southern cook has their own special way of making them. And whether we serve them with a bowl of soup, salad, or just as a snack, I promise once you try one of our easy homemade ones, you're gonna be hooked. To make them, all we do is combine some shredded sharp cheddar cheese, a good amount of flour, some softened butter, a little paprika, salt, and a dash of cayenne pepper. Now, using our hands, we mix this together until it forms a soft dough. You see, the warmth of our hands is the key to making a good dough. When that's done, we roll it out so it's about a 1/4 inch thick. Cut it into strips and place them on a cookie sheet before baking them off. What we end up with is the cheesiest pastry crisp that you could ever imagine. You see, the sharpness of the cheddar combined with the spices make these addictive. So why not go online and get the recipe for our Southern cheese straws? And if you add your own twist to these, don't forget to share it with us on MrFood.com. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a classic Southern way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe and more on our website. Just go to KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at market prices.
All right, continuing to keep an eye on these thunderstorms up in Bourbon and Lynn counties out there. And we are watching the possibility of some additional development. It just depends on how much weaker the cap can get across the area this afternoon. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Otherwise, 80s today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Another strong cold front Thursday, though. Will cool us back, maybe even below average by this weekend. Some thunderstorms Thursday and more showers and storms as we head into next week.
All right. As always, thanks for keeping us updated. Chris, Dow Quick joins us. What are we looking forward to at 5, sir?
Well, a lot at 5. For starters, April is Autism Acceptance Month. We're going to show you how an innovative program at a New Jersey hospital is helping people with autism find jobs. Plus, the City of Pittsburgh's Neighborhood Advisory Council has published a survey to gather feedback for a new neighborhood map. We're going to take a look into why they're doing that. And don't forget our Hero Fund telethons coming up this week. We're going to have more details on how you can help our 4-state first responders. Those stories at 5.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Join us then. For now, that's all our time. From everyone here at KOAM News, have a great day.